and welcome to a brief guide about how to run a DED 510 for the Blood Raider faction in a Praxis. The 510 site can be farmed as an escalation from any Blood Raider den that you might find. A Praxis is a very versatile battleship that doesn't require a whole lot of skills to run. It will require you to at least have the ability to equip Cruise Launcher 2s and also use Sentry Drones. You don't need Sentry Drone 2s for this guide to work effectively. Looking over some of the fit, it's important to note that this is a micro jump drive fit, which means we're going to be moving far away from the enemies and using that distance to keep us safe while we snipe them. The cruise missiles are largely reserved for battleship-sized targets, while the sentries should shoot anything smaller that gets close to you. Once all the battleships and turrets are dead, you can use the cruise missiles to shoot just about anything. Let's go ahead and undock and we'll get ready to run the site. One thing that will be important later in this guide is for you to turn on your tactical grid. This is very important for how we do micro-jump drive maneuvers to make sure that when we jump back towards the gate, we land right on top of it and are ready to warp to the next pocket. There are no rats on the warp bin. You will land instead on an acceleration gate, which will take you to the first actual room of combat. Before we arrive on grid, we'll want to zoom out to make sure that we can see the 100 kilometer mark on our tactical grid. That will become important for the micro-jump drive maneuver. Arriving in the first room, we can see a mix of battleship, battlecruiser, cruiser, and frigate-sized targets, as well as one turret. The tactical grid gives us the ability to hold down the Q key with default keybinds and plot a course to a specific point. While we're in motion, we can easily hold down the Q key and hover this course over the 100 kilometer mark on our tac grid. Once we have stopped warp and we can start moving, we can click once to initiate a change from the horizontal plane into the vertical plane of our tac grid, and then we will move this up until this very faint line ends up halfway between us and the acceleration gate. It can be difficult to see this line, and you don't have to be perfect, but the closer you can get it to the midway point, the better off we'll be when we get in this room. After we set a course, we wait a few seconds just to make sure our alignment will go through, and we activate our micro-jump drive. During this time, you can scan through the targets and select some of your initial targets such as battleships and turrets. Once the micro-jump is complete, make sure to stop your ship, and you can start deploying your sentries and firing on your initial targets. It only takes 2 volleys to kill a turret, so after you have launched 2 volleys, make sure to cancel your cruise missiles so that you don't waste additional missiles on that. Once you've killed the turret, you can lock up as many of the small ships as are close to you and start picking them off one by one with the sentries. You'll see that the sentries do a pretty good job of destroying these frigs very, very quickly, so you'll have to make sure that you keep supplying yourself with fresh targets. Remember, it should only take 5 or maybe 6 volleys to kill off a battleship, so if you're counting your volleys, you can cancel when you know that the last volley is in flight, and save yourself some ammo, and also improve your times. It might look like there's a lot to keep track of, but as you can see, our tank is very safe in this first room. We won't even end up running our shield rep. So as long as you can very calmly make sure that you have targets and continue to fire your cruise missiles and set your sentry drones on the closest available small targets, you will work your way through the first room pretty swiftly and very safely. Once our last target is dead, we'll go ahead and recall drones and start approaching the acceleration gate. Our micro-jump drive should be off cooldown so we can immediately activate it, and once it activates, we should end up right on top of the acceleration gate if we did our math right in the beginning of this room. If not, don't worry about it. You still have to wait for your micro-jump cooldown before you can go to the next room, so you'll have plenty of time to slow boat to the gate if you missed it by a few kilometers. Before activating the gate to the next room, be sure that your micro-jump drive is no longer on cooldown. The next room is basically a larger version of the first room. There will be a lot more turrets, a lot more battleships, and a lot more other targets to shoot. The start of the second room is the same as the start of the first room. We will use the micro-jump drive to jump to safety. This time I will show it in real time so you get a sense for how it feels in the actual game. Once we are safely at distance, we can start lining up and shooting our targets. The rules for priority are the same as the first room, with a few exceptions. The first exception is that you should target frigate-sized targets as soon as possible. Some targets will get within 25 kilometers of you in this room. If those are frigate size, your sentries will fail to track them, so you need to eliminate frigate size well before they get within that range. The second change in priority is to change the priority of your cruise missiles so that you are attacking battlecruisers and battleships that have gotten within 40 kilometers. At that range, these ships can do a lot of damage to you, and in order to make sure that your tank holds, you will need to eliminate them from the field quickly. Otherwise, the room plays out much the same as the first room. The tank should hold just fine. You will need to use your repper though. Don't over-rep, and make sure to only cycle your repper when you need to top up. Once the targets have been eliminated, we will jump back to the acceleration gate and once again wait for our micro-jump drive cooldown before proceeding to the final room. Once our micro-jump drive is off cooldown and our capacitor and shields have regenerated enough, we are ready to enter the final room. We have only one goal in the final room, and that is to, as quickly as possible, eliminate the Exsanguinator boss, bookmark its wreck, and then warp to safety. The damage can be overwhelming in the final room, so I recommend preheating your hardeners before you land. You don't have to worry about heat damage. We won't be here long enough for you to burn out any modules. We won't be doing any angles in this room, so upon landing you want to immediately activate your micro-jump drive. While the micro-jump drive is spooling up, it is useful to find some safe celestial to warp to in your overview, and start aligning to it. Also, search your overview for the Exsanguinator and lock them up. As soon as the micro-jump drive is complete, turn on your cruise missiles and try to burn down the Exsanguinator as fast as possible, while aligning to your safe celestial. Stay calm, and as soon as the Exsanguinator is dead, make sure to save the bookmark, and only after you have made a bookmark, warp off to your safe celestial. After some time has passed, you should be able to warp back to your bookmark to loot the wreck. If you initiate warp and you see the pop-up for the site, that means that the site has not yet despawned, and you should cancel your warp and wait a little longer. If you see no pop-up, you should be able to warp directly to the wreck and loot it.
Warp drive active.
This concludes the guide on how to run a 510 for the Blood Raider faction. As always, stay classy and fly safe.